Knowledge is power. Make an impact by learning more, or hire us to do it for you. Let us focus on what we do best so you can stay focused on what you do best. Find all of our options under services, one-to-one training, subscription-based training, or accounting and business consulting. Okay, my e-commerce sellers, my Amazon sellers, eBay sellers, wherever you're selling stuff online. I have good news and bad news. The good news is the model for you in terms of projecting revenue is a little simpler. The bad news is it's going to take a little more work probably to get it all laid out properly, right? So we're assuming, of course, that you have some history behind this to work off of. And that brings up really my first and next point, which is we can run a report, and I'm, of course, using QuickBooks Online because that's what we use here at Nerd Enterprises. And don't forget that if you'd like help, we're here to help. You can outsource your entire accounting function. Let us do this stuff for you so you can focus on developing the right SEO for the products you're selling so you can get more of those products sold, right? That's kind of your primary job as an e-commerce seller, I think, is getting your products listed with the right descriptions and right keywords so that you can get found and so that you can get those products sold. So this is actually based on a real client's data, but of course I turn the products into generic product numbers, and there's nothing else in here that would give you any clue as to who the client actually is, right? So this is from September of this year. What this client's numbers were, and I do this report, and this isn't exactly how it comes out. Essentially, I clean it up a little bit, and I add in the average cost of goods sold per unit because we like to see that and make sure that it makes sense. If it's coming up with something way off from what we think it should be, then that's a clue that we need to take a look at the accounting and see if there isn't an error, something that's not going in right, that sort of thing. Anyway, I digress. So I've got this sorted by the gross margin amount to see which is the most profitable product, right? And so this is certainly one very quick way of getting at which of the products we really want to focus on. And let's say I just wanted to take the top 10. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I can take these 10 products. I'm going to copy this, Control-C, and come over to our template here. And I'm just going to paste the values of those in. Right, and then I'm going to skip right over to the base rate or volume because I'm going to start with whatever, last month's volume was, right, which is essentially what we've got here. So I'm going to copy that information over. Okay, then I'm going to go back and get my price per unit, right, which is here the average price. Control-C, paste, and then we'll format those like numbers. Right, and we'll format these to look more like numbers, right? And then we can ignore the growth rate or we can use it. Sometimes I find it's useful to just be specific and say, especially with a product model like you have with e-commerce sellers, because a lot of you are seasonal, right? We're going into the holiday season right now, so you can expect a ramp up, right? If I put in one set growth rate, that assumes that we're going to grow consistently in sales volume by the same amount all the time, and that's not really realistic, right? So you can have the growth rate in there, but let's kill it off because I don't think it really makes sense. And then I could say, all right, so in November, I'm just going to say, let's take whatever this was, right, and add 10%, right, times 1.1. That takes 10% and adds it back to the base, right? Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm building the growth rate into the formula, but specifically month over month. I could even do something like this, like put the growth rate above the month, and I can write the formula that way, right? In the interest of time, you get the idea. I'll do one other month just so you can see what it looks like. So let's say in December, I really expect them to kick up. So I want to take November times 1.2. I want to assume an even larger jump during the month of December, when people are, because most of the shopping kicks in right at the end of November, right after Thanksgiving, right? And then, of course, we should cycle way back down. So let's pull this back to the base rate again. So you see what I mean about the cycles? And then, and there's lots of ways to do this, of course. So I could go back and say, well, we could put a standard growth rate and then override that for the cyclical months. Again, we can get really deep with this. And if you want to do that, by all means, give us a call and I'll work with you on it. Absolutely. Or like I said, I can just do it for you. Outsource your accounting to us. We'd love to have it. Right? And then so here I can just say, on average, since these are our top selling products, let's just say 1.05%. Oops. Take that times 1.05. as my growth rate for, what are normally the slower months, right? And then I'm just going to copy that across. Okay, and then the rest of this is, just real simple. We're going to build the actual sales part based on setting these equal down to product number 88. Right, I can copy that across and get these same numbers. Like I said in my in the video I did for my real estate friends, you could ignore this part sort of because it's all above, but it's just to keep everything consistent and sort of alongside one another. Let's pull this out. The total volume, I've got the space for it and I do it. Keep in mind though, it's really irrelevant. We're adding a total across different products, which really may have nothing to do with each other, but it's just sort of nice to see a total. So whatever we're selling across all these products, we're selling this many units. But like I said, there may be nothing you would ever do with that information that's ever really very useful, right? Now we have a simple formula. We want to take the volume for this product for the month that we're in times the price per unit, right? And you can even grab the price per unit from over here. Doesn't really matter because this price per unit is going to change based on whatever we do here, right? And now before I copy this across, I just need to make some stuff constant. Like here, column G needs to change as I go to the right, and row 5 needs to change as I go down. So nothing in this part of the formula is held constant, but D, wherever I'm getting the price per unit from, that absolutely has to remain constant, but just for the column, because as I copy it down, I want the price from the next row and so on. So that's the only thing that needs to remain constant. And that should give us our results. Back up here, total sales. Quick sum. Pretty good numbers, right? Let's just make sure everything is formatted to look like a number here. All right, and we just want to do a quick test and make sure this is calculating things correctly. So it's getting the volume from here, which is product 83, times the price for product 83. Looks like it's working correctly, and the real acid test is the bottom right corner, right? If that one's working, then pretty much it's pretty safe to say everything in between has to be working correctly. And sure enough it is, but I always like to spot check at least a few of these. Right, and then we could do some formatting to make this look prettier, but now you get the idea. So as an e-commerce eBay seller, I'd be focusing on the top 10 products. Of course, you can include more. I can make this as big as you want it, but I would want to focus on the top 10 most profitable products and put that as our first priority. I can even do another table for the less, the next 10, and include those as a secondary priority in a separate table. But this is where I'd want to put my focus. Another thing, by the way, to look for, going back to the report that we pulled out of QuickBooks, is we want to sort this by the gross margin percentage, and I'll tell you why. This might change how you prioritize what products go into the mix here. So we're going to sort this by the gross margin percentage. Sort anything that looks like a number as a number. Okay, and you could tell if you're paying attention that some things did move around. Notice our top selling items aren't necessarily the ones with our highest profit margin, right? Look at this one, and this could be a mistake. Oftentimes, as a rule, you want to rule out the first couple, but of course, if I was looking at the actual products, I would know what's going on here. But look at this. Here's a product that presumably has a profit margin of 87%. Very profitable item that's selling very low volume. So this may be a secondary look that we want to give, and what this might help us uncover are products that have a high profit margin that aren't selling as well. So again, if we put some extra emphasis on these, and it depends on what those products are, of course, but this might give us some insights into products that we could put some extra emphasis in, and they could really turn over a large dollar volume profit that hits the bottom line, because at the end of the day, it's the dollars hitting the bottom line that really matter. But this is a good way to uncover, in some cases, those sort of sleepers, right? Those products that could bring about a great profit with just a little bit of effort, maybe a little extra SEO focus on those products, so that they come up in more searches on Amazon and eBay and so on and so forth, and other kind of promotions that we can do to generate a higher volume of sales on these products, especially with such a high profit margin. So that's my 2 cents or 10 cents for you on my eBay, Amazon e-commerce sellers, and how to make a start of projecting your revenues. Once again, don't forget, you can hire us to do this for you, so you can focus on, we'll present you with this data so that you can get to work and actually get selling. So this way we do what we do best to help you do what you do best.